It's all about social media. It's all about podcasting.
Yeah.
Which is you're the number one show, I'm led to believe, around the country.
Oh, no, I think it's you guys.
Legends with Bevo, number one. Oh, boy.
Before we start this episode of Sports Legends with Bevo, a shout out to two of our sponsors, Ryan Bridges from Elders Goolwa and also Steve Chapman from Victor Harbour Motor Co. Make sure you see both those guys if you're looking to buy a car or buy a house or sell a car or sell a house. You'll see their details up on the screen now. Obviously, two local legends, so make sure you get behind them and really appreciate their support. Well, what a resume. 110 games of footy for the Crows, two-time Magarey medalists, 149 games for North Adelaide, 41 games for Norwood, 15 State of Origin games, and as well an amazing media career beyond playing footy and a coach as well. Not a bad resume there, Andrew Jarman. Welcome to Legends of Bevo for the second time.
Good on you, Bevo. I got a recall.
You did.
Hey, I got the phone call again.
Yeah, you did. How'd I go with the stats? I get everything correct there?
Yeah, mate. Look, end of the day, they're just stats. But it was a great football journey, and I'm very blessed and grateful that I met some wonderful people, played with some great players, played against some great players, and I've come out the other end fairly healthy, which is really important.
Yeah, we'll get to your career in a moment because you're a bit sort of blown. Your mind's a bit blown at the moment because you were just saying before, this location is actually where you met the lovely Mads all those years ago.
Mate, I couldn't believe it. When you gave me the address and I've gone, okay. And then when I've walked down the street, I started to get my heart flutters. And then I've walked into the big door here of the establishment, which used to be called My Place, which was a nightclub back in the 80s, which was everyone went to. That and Joplin's and all those. And I nearly fainted when I walked through the double doors and I saw the seat where Marion sat where I first found her 30-odd years ago, 31 years, whatever it was, or 35 years ago. That's where my first love was. It was here in the nightclub and you're sitting right here in My Place.
That is ridiculous.
What is going on, Bevo?
I was a little bit before my time, Jars. Tell us about My Place. What sort of, was it like a bit of a heaven or planet sort of setup?
We played all the great 80 music. You know, we had it was everyone, and all the outfits back in those days were hilarious. The little dance floor. I think I thumped some poor bloke who pushed Marion, and I reckon I know where he landed. Anyway, I'm not a fighter, but it just brought back beautiful memories. You know, met some beautiful, and a lot of the opposition players came here as well.
Oh shit!
So, and the bar's still there. I remember that bar. Anyway,
was there a bit of biffo between the opposition players?
No, all good fun.
Yeah, just on the field.
It was always my shout. Yeah. Somehow, Charge, your shout. But nice to be here.
Those are good old days for sure. Hey, let's talk about the media career because a very successful show called The Rush Hour. I was a huge fan of it. I remember sending you lots of texts and saying, I love the show. And then last year you got that news, which came out of nowhere really for a show that was rating absolutely through the roof in Adelaide with, of course, Bluey and also Byrne. And then all of a sudden the show was just finished. What was your reaction when you found out that news, Jars?
I was probably a little bit in shock, to be honest with you, because I thought, we were producing and delivering a really good local South Australian show that had a lot of fun. It was a chaos show. It was crazy. And I worked with two beautiful blokes in Greg Blort and Bernie Vince, and we just had this beautiful relationship. And that's so important in the media. You got to have chemistry. You actually got to like each other if you want to have a good show. And we did, I think 4 years together, 3 or 4 years together, and it was one of the best 4 years of my life in the media. I was lucky to get an opportunity because back in '96 when I got cut by the Adelaide Crows, about an hour later, a radio legend in Phil Dowse, who was the big chief at Triple M on Green Hill Road back in the day, gave me a call and he said, "Would you like to do some radio?" And because I've obviously been a bit crazy and outspoken and I don't know. I can't articulate the best at times, but somehow I found my way into a great radio station like Triple M. You're working with the greats of David Day, John Vincent, the great Grant Cameron, John Pemberton. They're icons of South Australia. Yeah. And here I am sitting in the chair next to these legends of radio, and I'm scratching my head going, "Nah, this can't be happening." I'm out of my depth here. But anyway, I just kept backing myself in. I kept fronting up every day, and then just learning the mechanics of radio, what it needs, But what I did find out after 20 plus years of doing this in the industry, just be yourself. That was the one thing I didn't change, was just be myself. And, I was lucky to do breakfast radio for Triple M, did Dead Set Legends on the Saturday morning for Triple M, and then obviously doing the Rush Hour, worked with some wonderful people. And but yeah, so yeah, it was a shock. But in our industry, nothing surprises you, to be honest, quite honest with you. Nothing, surprises me anymore, because back in my day, there was no mobile phones. There was no social media. There's no Instagram and Twitter and all that kind of stuff, is there? And it was just a phone on a wall or in your household. But now it's all about social media. It's all about podcasting.
Yeah.
Which is you're the number one show, I'm led to believe, around the country.
Oh, no, I think it's you guys.
Legends with Bevo, number one. Oh, boy.
No, I wish. No, it's you're right. It's a changing world. JB and Billy, obviously, we've talked about this before off air, and I sort of feel like they've got a similar show to you guys, and they're just like JB just takes the piss out of Billy, like the boys used to take the piss out of you.
Yeah.
And, like it's a good show, don't get me wrong, but it's more of like a focus in a Melbourne, but they do have a little bit of local content.
Yeah.
But do you sort of find it strange that they've gone to a show which is now, in South Australia, you've gone from taking away a number one show like with you guys, and then a show that's coming out of Melbourne now with not much of a local content aspect. Do you feel as though that was a bit of a strange decision, or you understand?
Oh, initially I thought it was a bit strange, but then when you look at the bigger picture, it's about the bottom line. It's about the shareholders. It's a public company, so I get it. I get it, and obviously JB and Billy have got wonderful profiles around the country, and this syndication, they all try it. It never works, to be quite honest with you. They all, when new management come in, they go, "Oh, we're gonna syndicate it," and then after a while they go, "Yeah, we've just, look." End of the day, they got to make these decisions, and James and Billy are beautiful people, and they're great talent, and they're So end of the day, that's what they've got to look after the South Australian public somehow. It's not easy, because you're servicing WA, Tassie, South Australia, all pure football states,
Yeah.
So anyway, it's not my worry anymore, mate.
No, but the best part is you're back on radio with DSL. You've almost done like a full 360.
I know. I got redrafted. And that's nice to be back on there with some good young Callum Ferguson, a wonderful South Australian, and young Mark Thompson, Tomo, he's a star. So I'm the old dog in the group, but it's nice to be back on Saturday mornings talking local sports here in South Australia.
Love it. And you've also got a podcast with Bluey. Tell us about that, how people can listen.
Well, I don't know where that's going to go. We can't compete with you.
I don't know about that.
We can't compete with Legends with Bevo. Love the name, though. Bluey and Jars, uncut. We got no idea where it's going to go. We've done about 12 episodes. And look, I love Greg and we love each other. So we're just, trying to just get the local stuff out there as best we can and have a bit of a chat like you're doing. You're like the Michael Parkinson of South Australia, I reckon. That's too kind. You should start wearing a suit. No, I'm serious. Interview us in a suit. And then every now and then play Dame Edna. The
thing is, I don't think I'd have that sort of like comedian aspect to the show, though. So
yes, yeah. It's in there somewhere. You just got to find the damn thing.
No, that would be or Graham Norton. He'd be.
Oh, well, be Graham Norton. There you go.
There you go.
You're not going to dump me in the chair, are you? At the end of the show.
Oh, that's an absolute legend for sure.
Yeah.
But hey, your Crows are going okay in 2025.
Yes, obviously it's been a long build for the boys, and at times I have been critical of some of the decisions they've done in terms of their draft picks. Matty Nix is probably the only coach that's really survived in terms of their performances. In the past, every Crows coach, if you look this up, has been sacked bar Malcolm Blight. All of them have been sacked, starting from Graham Corns to Robert Shaw to Don Pike to Neil Craig to Brenton Sanderson. They've all been sacked. And full credit to Nixie, he's held his nerve and obviously he's had some wonderful support around him at the Adelaide Crows. And I think they're starting to see some real, real development in their group. They're playing some really good contested footy, good outside footy. They've got some genuine class players in there now. You know, Thilthorpe's been a big difference, I think, this year. I love Rankin, the way he plays, and I love the way Rochelle plays because they're entertainers. But also they can play some real serious football. So they're going to be around the mark, and it's a credit to the coaching staff, more so Nixie, because he's held his nerve. And it's not easy. You know, it's not easy being a senior coach these days. So
no, he's done a great job.
Yeah, and I think Neil Bullen's been probably the best pick they've picked up because he's the glue of that side now.
Yeah,
from Melbourne. There's something about that individual because Melbourne were devastated when he left. Said he's probably one of the greatest blokes I've had to play in a jumper, and now we're starting to see it now. So some of their picks. So finally they got some good picks. You know, they picked up Peatling and Cummings, and these guys are starting to play their roles.
No, they're playing good footy, aren't they?
It is. It's encouraging, and it's yeah. So just keep doing what they're doing, and it's all they can do is just keep winning, and if they finish top 4, wow.
I'll tell you what, as a pause supporter, I'm pretty nervous because I'm getting all my Crows mates messaging me at the moment saying, you know, what are you doing in September?
So where's your club at?
Yeah,
where do you think your club's at now?
Oh no, it's a little bit worried, but
do you like the succession plan?
It's a real good question, actually. Yeah, I think obviously injuries has hurt them a lot this year.
Yep.
And they've played some really good footy. And they keep on saying that they love Ken and they're happy with how things are going and stuff. So it's a really good one, Giles. I don't know how to.
Well, if you're going to do a succession plan, I've always felt do it behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Just have your key people know, and that's it. Don't put it on the out in the outside world.
Yeah.
They don't need to know.
No, that's right.
You know, and all parties just keep it in house. Then you don't get this extra pressure that's coming already at your footy club.
Yeah.
And you're right. And then there's going to be some more questions about Zach Butters and Bergman.
And Bergman, exactly.
And also Butters.
Yeah.
You got to get back in the draft because Tassie around the corner.
Exactly.
So there's some, we want our 2 football teams to be strong because it's good for South Australian footy.
No, it is absolutely, Jazz. I think in answer to your question, I have a lot of arguments with some of my mates that are Port Adelaide supporters that are like, Ken should have been moved on years ago. But you look at where the club was and how he's turned things around, though. Unbelievable when you think 2 prelims lost by less than a kick could have easily played in a grand final.
Absolutely.
And 2 crap prelims. But he keeps getting them up there. And like last year, our list wasn't as good as some of the other teams, but he's still got us, they won 9 in a row, finished second on the ladder. Obviously disappointing prelim, but had a good win against Hawthorn. So he's done an unbelievable job of turning that club around. They nearly folded, Charles, and people forget that. So, last few years and this year's isn't working out as well as Kenny had planned, but you got to look back at before that and how he's turned things around. So, I think
you've been playing finals every year.
Exactly.
What the Adelaide Crows been doing for the last 7 years.
Exactly right.
He's been a wonderful coach, and there's no doubt. I still think he's got a lot of good coaching left in him, and it might be at another football club.
I could see him at Tassie.
Okay.
As a footy director there or something like that in the future, but we'll see what happens. But hopefully Josh Carr, they speak very highly about him, so I'm sure he'll do well for sure. Hey, what about footy in terms of the way it's at the moment, Giles? Because Tribunal was an interesting one. Situation the other week with Alex Pearce knocking out Darcy Byrne-Jones, and that gets wiped off, and young Paul Curtis lays and again, it was like against one of my back for Port Adelaide, so Josh Sin, the lovely guy, but I reckon he'd even say that didn't deserve a suspension because it was just a good tackle, and what's Curtis supposed to do, It was just an unfortunate incident. Yet the Pearce one gets completely wiped off for something that's probably even worse. So do you think they need to overhaul the tribunal next year? Overhaul it, sorry, not overhaul it.
There's so much inconsistency, and all you want is consistent decisions. The MRO, the tribunal, it needs a clean out, mate.
Yeah,
it needs a real clean out, and because the competition is $1 billion industry, there's been so much criticism regarding the lack of leadership from above AFL House. Andrew Dillon. And then you got Laura Kane, who's obviously struggled with the big job that it is, and she's been pushed sideways. We all know that, and a lot of the heavy hitters in the AFL haven't been happy with the messaging coming out of AFL House. I think we've got too many teams in the competition.
Agree.
The quality of football is thin now. You got 9 games per weekend. You might get 2 or 3 absolute rippers. I'm not saying you're going to get every game like that, but the standard of football, there's blokes there that can't hit a target field kicking.
Yeah.
Some of them just got terrible awareness but that's not their fault. It's just we've got 18 teams. We can't sustain 18 teams, and now we're going to bring in a 19th team.
Yeah.
And in another 7 years, it had to be a 20 team. So there's another 100 players they've got to find.
Yeah, great.
There's not 100 good players out there.
No.
And that's why the draft and this mid-season draft is a disgrace. It hurts the integrity of state league footy around the country.
And the clubs don't get anything out of it.
Well, the clubs get $10,000,
which is absolutely nothing.
but they lose a very good player.
Exactly.
Central's lost their best midfielder, Liddy, during the week.
Yeah.
And look at Central's results on the weekend.
Exactly.
You can't replace him.
Yeah.
$10,000 ain't going to replace anyone. If the AFL listen, you should have a mid-season trade.
Yep, I agree with that.
Or add a couple of more players to your list at the end of the year. So there's and then the quality of football, like I said, is okay. Do I sit and watch every game when I can? No, not like I used to. I can't stand the some of the quality of football because it's all. See, coaches these days, I think these days, try and coach to survive, and that's why they play this defensive. They all play the same.
Yeah.
There's no creativity. They all do the same thing, but it's the side that does it better. They go 6-6-6, balls blown up, thrown up. Then they all go put a +1 behind the ball, and he's got a +1 behind the ball. Coach is 8 goals down. He still doesn't round that extra free up.
And there's like 80,000 players around the ball, and then But look, but then you get some great games of footy. Don't get me wrong. That is just 100 points each. Yeah, I don't know. Coaches have got to be encouraged to kick 100 points each. That's actually a really good point, Ray, because I hate it when I hear coaches say, oh, no, we don't want to be scoring too high. We're not playing good enough defence. The spectators want to see games where their high scoring is 35 goals scored. One of the best games of the year was the Crows versus, I know the Crows lost that game, so you won't agree when they lost to the Cats, but that was a great game of footy to watch.
Terrific game.
And lots of goals scored. That's what you want to see, Jars.
Yeah. Look, they got some decisions, mate. There's some, but like you said, going back to your question, the MRO, the tribunal is becoming laughable. The umpires are getting smashed. Laura Kane threw them under the bus a few weeks ago. So there's divide. So Andrew Dillon, he now has to unite this whole competition in the next 6 months.
Yeah, agree. And also the umpiring. I don't know if you watch that.
Don't blame the umpires.
Oh, no, but there's too many umpires, though. I think they should.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, drop it down to 3.
Go back to 3.
Yeah.
And have the 4th umpire as reserve.
Yeah.
And then like we do with interchange players, we manage their minutes. We'll manage their minutes with the 4th umpire.
Yeah.
He comes on, you have a chop out this quarter, freshen them up.
Yeah.
Try that. Anyway, they're not going to listen. They don't think that it's going well, but and get rid of the bounce start of the game.
Yeah, agree.
Get rid of it. So there's all these little bits that we could clean up to make it better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you as well. And I mean, you get 13,000 people at a game between St Kilda and Gold Coast the other week.
Well, that's fixturing. See, there's another issue. That's broadcasting, fixturing. You got a bloke who's from Canada who's doing our fixturing. You're like, come on,
it's ridiculous.
Because he's he's the one that comes up with the home and away fixture. End of the day, if you're playing at 4:00 on a Sunday, you ain't going to get too many people there.
That's right.
Kids got to go to school.
Yeah.
People got to get up early and standalone games I think are really important.
Showdowns. Why the heck can't they give us a standalone game on a Thursday or Friday night?
Go and ask the bloke from Canada.
It is absolutely ridiculous. Even the Victorians love the showdowns.
Yeah, that should be standalone on a Friday night. All right, and that's where the biggest audience is, Friday night.
Exactly.
And again, play the games at 2:00. If you want to double up on Sunday, do that, but don't play it at 4:00 on a Sunday.
No, absolutely.
No one's going, mate.
Or 7:00 on a Sunday night, even. Yeah. So ridiculous.
But anyway, that's again, they've got to fix that up at somehow. Yeah. Clubs get an even. It's not an. It's a flawed fixture.
Yeah.
And it suits Collingwood, suits Richmond, it suits those powerhouse clubs. Really, doesn't it?
Oh, the amount of games that Collingwood get at the MCG, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Port played 1 this year. One game at the MCG.
How fair is that's not fair.
No, I think the Crows.
And where's the grand final played on top? Where's that again?
Exactly.
Oh, MCG.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Hey, mental health in sport, I want to ask you about that because obviously a lot of players now are taking time out of the game. We saw that with Harry Mackay and Bailey Smith's come out and said he's had some issues as well. Do you think it needs to be done more in terms of like past and present players in sport with mental health, Jars? Because obviously it's becoming pretty big nowadays.
Yeah, a lot of players, and I coach local footy down there at Port Noarlunga, and I'm dealing with a lot of these, and they're social footballers. You know, they've got jobs, they've got families, they train 5-6 hours a week and then play on Saturday. So a lot of them have anxiety, and that's something that I've noticed a lot more with today's players is so you've got to get your arm around them and just let them know that's okay and take a deep breath and just go and play and enjoy your footy. So you can imagine what it's like with the AFL where they're scrutinised to the inch of their life. There's over 1,000 media looking for a story. You're looking for a clickbait, as they call it. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And it is really concerning in regards to, you know, we've had some suicides, deaths this year from within our community, which is very, very, it's horrible and it's a concern. It
breaks your heart, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but absolutely. But it's a real concern, Bevo, that clubs don't have enough money or resources to assist because the soft cap needs to be raised in the AFL, and we need more resources in community footy and in state league footy and in all sports, not just football. Our women's programs, the whole lot, because you know I've been doing coaching community footy and state league footy for 20 plus years, and I've had 2 or 3 moments where I've had to step in and save a young man's life because he didn't want to be around anymore.
Oh, Jars.
Now, I don't have the tools to do that. I'm not, you know, I just go with my, you know, Papa Bear, whatever, you know, just as a dad of 3 kids and now grandchildren. I just use those tools to try and put him in, you know, anyway. So we got through okay. You can imagine what it's like at that top level in all sports. And you know, and those guys taking time away, they need it because social media has been the blame for a lot of that, to be quite honest with you. Because, and I say to my blokes, don't read the text messages. Don't read what they say about you. Because I don't give a stuff. Don't give a rat's ass what people say about me. And I don't read it. I only get told about, oh, Jars, you're a dickhead. Jars, well, I don't give a stuff.
Good on you.
But that's just how I'm built. But these kids today are sensitive. They're different. This generation of young men are different. And when they start reading comments about their performance and who they are, their haircut, mate, after a while, you know, that's why we're at this we're losing 7 males a day to suicide.
It's just horrible.
Well, it's horrendous. And that's why the research and the resources we need more of. Yeah. So hopefully the AFL, you know, will put some more resources into that area. Because it's one of the great environments to be in, isn't it? In a footy club or any sporting club. Yeah. It's the best place to be in.
Lifelong friends from footy and that sort of thing.
Well, you have,
And
so I hope that we'll see some change in the future. And to any young men out there or anyone, talk. Yeah. Because we don't talk.
No, we don't. And I've told many people about this publicly, but I got bullied really badly in high school as well, Jars. But obviously I've turned my life around now and couldn't make a friend to save myself in high school. And now my wife said I've got too many. So there you go. You can change your life,
Beautiful.
Can't you?
So absolutely you can, you know, and it's a credit to what you've done, you know, and
oh, thanks, mate.
And you keep inspiring people. That's what you got to keep doing, mate.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you mentioned before Port Noarlunga, they're going along well this year. Tell us about that.
Oh, well, as you know, the goalpost can change. We should fall off the cliff very quickly, but I've really enjoyed it down there. It's in the Southern Footy League. They were the whipping boys for a period of time there. And then big Ryan Fitzgerald, a much-loved South Australian, who's the king of Port Noarlunga.
I'm still trying to get him on Legends. He never replies to my messages.
Oh, no, he's a big dog now. You know, if Donald Trump rang him, he'd be on the charter flight with Trumpy. He's been great because we're very close friends and we have been for a long time. And I'm really proud of what he's done on his journey.
Amazing, yeah.
And he just loves that club. I can see it in his eyes. His dad's a legend of the club. Fitzy's a legend of the club. We're 90 years old and we've won 4 flags. That's it. So it's a great community. We're doing some really good things. All I am is just the old bus driver, just, you know, making sure we on the right path. And I've got a great bunch of people, great volunteers, supporters, sponsors. So it's good fun. It's good fun when you win, Bevo.
Absolutely.
As you know.
Yeah.
When you lose, you just got to try and find a little spot to hide.
Yeah. No,
So far, so good. Yeah, so we're going well. It's
fingers crossed,
been
mate.
good. Well, but there's still a lot to play out. But no, I enjoy I enjoy my little beer after we win. That's why I only have one beer. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, let's get back to the career now. 15 state of origin games, like I mentioned. What was it like to represent the state and play against the best of the best and play with the best of the best as well?
One of the great moments. You cherish every minute. I could still recall some of the great games we played in. Against Victoria were the enemy, and we had great coaching Graham Corns who the South Australian boys understood what the state jumper meant to us because all our great players before us, our forefathers, educated us a little bit, like Neil Curley and some of those greats. Made us understand that this is so important. You don't realise, and when you put that beautiful jumper on, it's a great jumper, the state jumper. You feel like Superman. And I looked around, I was playing with 22, 21 blokes that looked like Superman. And some of the football was some of the greatest, fastest football I've ever played in. Like, it was no let up. And I think a couple of the games against Victoria at Footy Park, Bevo, it was the fastest footy I've ever played in. You couldn't take a breath, and it was dynamic, and we had 54,000 South Australians screaming. 1989, 100,000 at MCG in the mud heap. Tony Hall did his knee that day.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was 89, so I was 20 or something, 21. And I looked at the Victorian forward line. It had Tony Lockett, Jason Dunstall, Dermot Brereton, Terry Danaher, Gary Lyon. I'm thinking, hang on, I'm not going down that end. I'll stay in the middle. I'll stay in the midfield. Matter of fact, I might hide in our back line, in our forward line.
Tony Lockett just in itself scary enough. So.
And with the Crows in those early 90s, we played against all those great players.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. It was, when you look back, Gary Ablett Senior. So we're in a bus driving to Geelong in the bus in those days because we were all full-time workers. We were only part-time footballers back in the 90s. And then when we jumped on the plane, then the bus was there, and then we're going to Geelong. We're playing Geelong in Geelong. That was before that new development down there, and you got Stoneham and Couch and Bairstow and blah, blah, blah. Billy just got in the way. He actually got in the way. He should have just sat down. And then Graham Corns was in the bus, our coach at the time, and it was a funny story, and I was sitting just behind Corns and he said, lads, obviously going to be a tough day today. And we're only just starting out. I think it might have been 92 or 93. Young. We're still a young group. There's a few of us senior boys in there. And then we're driving down and Corns got up. He said, now, lads, I just need anyone want to stand Gary Ablett Senior? And then we hear this, yeah, I'll give it a go. And then I turned around and it was young Ben Hart. I said to Chris McDermott, I said, we can't let him do that. He'll get destroyed. He goes, yeah, I know. Anyway, Benny put his hand up and we thought, how beautiful's that? Kid, he's only 17, 18. He was just still had freckles on his face. He had a crack at it, but just the fact that he was going to stand Gary Ablett Senior, and I think he kicked 9. We tried to help out, but they were superstars of the competition, Bevo, and now great characters. We had great characters back then, but so there were some great moments, but state footy once a year or twice a year, you go, yep, I got it. This is going to be one of the great moments of my life, and it was.
They want to bring it back. Do you think it would work?
Can't work.
No?
No. I'd love to see it back. These South Australians, but tell me where you're going to fit it. Tell me where you're going to fit it in the calendar.
Yeah, well, they want to do it before the season starts, like kind of what they do with
coaches aren't going to risk their players before the season.
Yeah, and it's going to be, let's be honest, like players aren't going to go in as hard as like they used to either, are they?
No. So we play. See, this is what I can't work at. We never had rotations. So did we? We never had rotations back in the day. We had 2 on the bench.
Yeah.
Now they've got 4 on the bench plus a sub. They got all these rotations, so they're not playing full minutes. A lot of these lads.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay. I personally would like to see it a Tuesday night. Played on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Now, like the state of origin, right? If you're going to and do it early in the season, because then you give the boys say 4 or 5 weeks home and away, and then you find out who's playing well. You played on now if you give, you know how they want that week off?
Yeah.
You might have the week off. So we played Saturday for our clubs, North and more, all our footy clubs, the boys played for Carlton and Hawthorn. We'd arrive at training camp on Sunday. Couple of beers Sunday night. Yeah. Monday, we'd have a training run, and then Tuesday we played, right? Then we all said goodbye, had a win, had a couple of frothies, bang, back playing with our local club on a Saturday, everyone. And no one even grizzled, whinged. And don't forget, these players are a lot fitter, a lot more they're well educated, they look after themselves, they're in they're compared to what we were doing.
Yeah.
You could easily do that.
Yeah, agree.
You could easily fit on a Tuesday night.
The NRL guys do it, don't they?
Well, so if you're talking about where we play it, we'll do it there. You do it there. After round 5, let's lock it in. I've been thinking about this. You can't do it before the season starts because you don't know who's playing well. And then as the second half of the season unfolds, it's too late because coaches won't let that happen. They need all their best players playing.
Yeah.
Do it early in the year, and you could do it at MCG one year and then Adelaide Oval the next year.
Love it.
Oh, that's what I do. Or let's not ever talk about it again.
It's been interesting discussion point for sure. Giles, we could talk all day.
Yeah.
Amazing career, but very important question to ask you before we finish up today.
Yeah.
For the Legends of Bevo Spotify playlist.
Oh, no.
Was there a go-to song that you really like to listen to before a game, or something that revs you up when you're coaching or something like that?
Yeah, Paradise City, Guns N' Roses.
Beautiful. And why is that?
Because I just love the energy of Axel, the front man, because I love the front man of a band, and that will be my next life as a front man of a rock and roll band that's global.
Love it.
All right?
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much.
Legends with Bevo.
Yeah.
#1 podcast in the world.